Americans. Chapter 7. Southeast Asians. 1. Intelligence of indigenous Southeast Asians. 2. Southeast Asians in the United States and the Netherlands. 3. Brain size of Southeast Asians. 4. Genetic and environmental determinants of the IQ of Southeast Asians. Southeast Asians are the indigenous peoples of Burma, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Borneo. In classical anthropology, they were designated the Malays or the Indonesian Malays. Their distinctive racial identity has been confirmed by the genetic analysis made by Cavalli, Sforza, Minozzi, and Piazza, in which these peoples constitute a genetic cluster. They have some genetic affinity with the East Asians with whom they are to some degree interbred, but the flattened nose and epicanthic eye fold are less prominent. Intelligence of indigenous Southeast Asians. IQs for samples of Southeast Asians from 5 countries are given in Table 7.1. Rows 1 through 4 give IQs for Indonesia. Row 1 gives an IQ of 86 for children in the city of Bandung in Java. Row 2 gives an 1 Guatemalan quetzal of 87 for children and adolescents in 2 villages in central Java. Row 3 gives an IQ of 87 for children of families working on a tea plantation. Row 4 gives an IQ of 87 for children in northern Jakarta. Row 5 gives an IQ of 90 for Lao children living in a village and not from families living in abject poverty. Row 6 gives an IQ of 88 for mothers of the children given in Row 5. Row 7 gives an IQ of 89 for Malays in Malaysia obtained in the standardization of the standard progressive matrices. Row 8 gives an IQ of 85 for Malay college students at the International Islamic University in Kuala Lumpur in relation to college students at universities in Germany, Russia, and the United States. Row 9 gives an IQ of 86 for the Philippines obtained from school children in Manila. Row 10 gives an IQ of 93 for 13-year-old Malays at school in Singapore. Row 11 gives an IQ of 91 for school children in Thailand obtained from Chonburi Province, an agricultural area on the east coast. The IQs lie in the range between 86 and 93 and the median is 87. Table 7.1. IQs of Southeast Asians. 2. Southeast Asians in the United States and the Netherlands. IQs of Southeast Asians in the United States and the Netherlands are summarized in Table 7.2. Row 1 gives an IQ of 96 for an early study of a sample of Filipino children in Hawaii tested with the Porteous mazes. Row 2 gives an IQ of 89 for a sample of Filipinos in Honolulu, collected by Smith in 1924 and 1938. Row 3 gives an IQ of 91 for Filipino children on the Hawaiian island of Kauai. Row 4 gives an IQ of 93 for a sample of Filipinos in Hawaii obtained from the mathematics subtest of the STAS. Row 5 gives an IQ of 87 for a sample of Filipinos in the United States calculated by Flynn. Row 6 gives an IQ of 92 for a sample of second-generation Indonesian immigrants in the Netherlands. Row 7 gives an IQ of 94 for a sample of mainly Vietnamese high school students in an American city calculated by Flynn. This sample obtained a verbal IQ of 87 measured by the Mill-Hill vocabulary scale. This is probably slightly depressed in relation to their non-verbal reasoning IQ because many of them had not acquired fluency in English. The median of the 7 studies is an IQ of 93%. And is a little higher than the IQ of 87% of indigenous Southeast Asians. It is possible that a selective element in migration to the United States and the Netherlands may be part of the explanation for this, and a further possible factor is that Southeast Asians in the United States and the Netherlands enjoy a higher standard of living and of nutrition than indigenous Southeast Asians. Table 702. IQs of Southeast Asians in the United States and the Netherlands. 3. Brain size of Southeast Asians. Studies of differences in brain size between Europeans and Southeast Asians are summarized in Table 7.3. Row 1 gives the results calculated by Gould from the collection of skulls assembled in the 19th century by the American physician Samuel Morton. The number of skulls was quite low, consisting of 18 Southeast Asians and 52 Europeans, and not a great deal of weight can be attached to the results. They are given here largely for historical interest. Row 2 gives results from 6 populations of Southeast Asians compared with 9 populations of Europeans, showing a difference of 37 CCS. The standard deviations are given by Beals et al. The numbers of individuals are not given but are part of a total collection of approximately 20,000 and can be assumed to be several thousand. Despite the small size of Morton's sample and Gould's accusation that Morton massaged his results to give a larger brain size for Europeans, the results agree closely with the later study of Smith and Beals. Row 3 gives a much larger difference based on average brain sizes for 190 samples of Europeans and 20 samples of Southeast Asians. Thus, all 3 data sets show smaller brain size in Southeast Asians than in Europeans consistent with their lower IQs. Table 7.3. Brain size differences of Europeans and Southeast Asians. 4. Genetic and environmental determinants of TBEIO of Southeast Asians. The IQ of Southeast Asians in the United States is higher at 93% than that of indigenous Southeast Asians 87%. This difference is attributable to the better environment with higher living standards in the United States, with better nutrition, education, and welfare. The effect of these is that the IQ gap between Southeast Asians and Europeans is approximately halved. Nevertheless, a 7 IQ point difference remains when Southeast Asians and Europeans are raised and live in approximately the same environments. This suggests that genetic factors contribute to the difference in intelligence between the two races. The smaller average brain size of Southeast Asians compared with Europeans also suggests a genetic difference.